Good afternoon and welcome to the Red Shirt Podcast. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about our game against Newcastle on Sunday. We'll be talking about the goalkeeping debate. We'll also be talking about the rebirth of Luke Shaw and Sunday's game against Chelsea. Today, we're joined as usual by Nigel and also a special guest appearance by Dean. So guys, let's talk about, first of all, Sunday's games. What did we get out of it? If I can come to you first, Dean.
Well, we got 3 points. I suppose that's at this stage of the season, and the way we've been going is positive. Yes. We also put in an acceptable performance, I guess. So for now, that's all I'd like to say in terms of positives. 3 points. Folk who'd been playing fairly well, like Luke Shaw recently, maintained their form. I still think there are questions which need to be addressed before we can start seriously thinking about winning titles. Maybe even winning trophies, cups. Because I think the same inconsistencies and the same challenges, which I dare say we'll speak about later, are still there. You know, there's still some weaknesses which haven't been addressed.
You talk about problems that need to be addressed. I mean, Nigel, you obviously watched the same game. What problems do you think need addressing in that performance?
Okay, so it's really just amazing when you break it down to the 11 men against 11 men. It's those individual battles that I think separates leaders from kind of ordinary footballers, and I think we still have a mentality issue. So it's just understanding, if I do my job today, we win this game. And too many times, a lot of individuals just don't turn up and do their job. So people like Fred, you know, I'm a massive Fred fan, but there's many times when we really need him to kind of remember that he has a specific job to do. And when you start, when your passes are spraying, you're missing a pass, or you're losing the ball in possession, those things have a dramatic effect on the overall outcome of the result. So I'm always going to be, I call him Pastor Fred, he's my guy, a big
Fred's
fan.
radar.
Yeah, but we can't have him turning the performance like he did in the first half. That said, I totally agree about Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's brilliant. I think he's a breath of fresh air in the team. He's somebody that really has risen. He increased his levels, and now he's putting in those consistent performances that we need to see. So his mentality is right. I mean, I'm not going to go through all the players, but those are the first two that spring to mind.
Okay, so we look at Newcastle's equaliser. They've been working on a short corner. They did it 3 or 4 times beforehand, of where obviously they've dragged us out and then put a long cross into the back post. Now, to me, the first clearing header was a poor header. Now, what really got me angry...
You're talking about the one from Marshall?
No, we're talking about, obviously, Sam Maximin's equaliser.
Yeah,
so the ball comes over...
Point, you talked about it being recycled 3 times. The first time it was Marshall that headed it out. It was a poor header out from Marshall.
Okay.
So again, that was him not doing his job in terms of, you're going to be able to do your job.
Yeah.
It comes back in again. I don't know who headed it out second. It comes in again. And then it's...
Maguire obviously flicks it. It's like a backwards header. I thought it should have gone out for another corner.
Got out for another corner?
Personally.
Yeah.
But it comes to Sam Maximin. Now, the problem was there, nobody thought, what if, where that ball drops?
But no one's smelling the danger.
Exactly. So, what we, as a team, people aren't reacting, are they?
I think it's probably more than that. The week before, I'd heard Ollie say that every time we don't win, every time we don't make first contact on the ball coming into our box, right, we put ourselves in trouble. And he says, and often it's costing us a goal. And it happened again, right? My question to you is, okay, so what's your job in all of this? Because you see this, right? Week in, week out, you have to play 2 pivots, right? Because you don't trust Maguire and Lindelof.
Which is a two central midfielder. Yeah, correct, yeah.
And what you do is, every chance you get, you take out Bailly, who's got the pace to play there, so you only need to play a single pivot, holding midfield player I'm talking about. And it's like you want that to happen. Well, you don't want it to happen, obviously, because not even Ollie can be that stupid. But you don't fix the problem. And if you see a problem and don't fix it, it's a bit like going to a nightclub where you pick up a woman who did your head in and going back there time after time after time, making the same mistake, and you're expecting a different outcome. It's going to be the same outcome, isn't it? And every time you play them two together, right, you're going to find they can't play. In fact, who was it who said so? I think I heard, I'm not certain, but it might have been Souness actually, who said that Maguire was Lindelof's problem and Lindelof was Maguire's problem. Last week I heard something. It's on Match of the Day, mate.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true. They shouldn't play together.
I think for me, once we have like Bailly in the team, there's pace there. Plus, he can bring out the ball, so we end up being 5 yards further forward. The team looks a lot more relaxed. I think the problem is, and you could see that in the going back in the Everton game a few weeks ago, they'd worked out if they put the balls into the channels, turning Maguire and Lindelof, it wasn't where they wanted to be. Whereas I think to myself, like what Dean was saying there, the reason why we're constantly playing 2 central midfielders, defensive midfielders in Fred and McTominay, is because he doesn't trust that central spine. Now, for you, Nigel, what would you do? I mean, Bally's the question, that is the answer, but it's his injury, isn't it? I think the problem is he keeps on getting injured, doesn't he?
Well, first things first, I'm still stuck on the nightclub analogy. I want to know a bit more about that. But anyway, that's another conversation.
That's what you should do, isn't it?
Another day. You know, I feel like we said a few weeks ago, I totally agree with him that if these same issues keep coming in and week out, then it's obviously something that's not being addressed on the training ground. But I mean, I am happy we won. We won 3-1. So we are going to take the positives. But we wouldn't be fans if we didn't highlight the areas that are clearly concerning us.
I think to me, in the first half, the one thing that totally struck me was everything from an attacking point of view was coming from our left-hand side. There was no right-hand side. Now, there's a lot of criticism which is going on to Wan-Bissaka, that obviously defending is fantastic, but from an attacking point of view, he adds nothing, which has made the club, they're looking at obviously Max Aarons from Norwich, because I think the feeling is they've bought Tellez in, and that's upped Shaw's game. Now they need obviously another right back on the other side that adds something more, and also to give him rest. From your point of view on especially from the first half on Sunday, Dean, was the right-hand side frustrating you as much as it was frustrating me?
Do you know what? There are a number of assumptions in there which I just can't let pass. Right? One of them is Luke Shaw. Throughout this whole 20 minutes, I haven't said Luke Shaw's a good player. Because if you need someone to come in to make you play better, then what are you? You're just stealing a living at United, or you had been till that player turned up, right? So that's my view about Luke Shaw. I feel that he's been, since he broke his leg, and I understand I broke my leg playing football, right? So I know what it's like, and it doesn't take 2.5 years, right, for you to get back to where you are in your headspace. He's just someone who does the minimum, and that's an attitude which I feel like permeates the whole of the United team. Keane says, always look in the mirror when you're looking for someone to blame. He's a kind of kid, a kind of fat kid, I guess, looks for someone else to blame all the time.
No, I'm not having that. You can't go that far.
Go on.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No. So it's funny because I was talking to a biologist not so long ago, and they talk about different body shapes, and some people would take me for example, a fine specimen of a man, but I'm never going to be a little slim, more Marcus Rashford type where you can, you just got that physique. We just have different physiques. Luke Shaw, we're very similar in terms of no matter how hard Luke Shaw tries, he's always going to have this physique. So first thing, you can't really be fat shaming him. I don't personally think that's fair, that's on. But secondly, if the guy's, I've always thought Luke Shaw was a diamond in a rough, and all he needed was the right kind of management, and he'd be brilliant. And you can see he's now beginning to recreate the form he created when he played for Southampton. And I think Mourinho nearly killed him, shattered his confidence, and shattered him as a player. And I think he's great now.
Which brings me on to the next point, really. Go on, Dean.
You said the Luke Shaw. I'm going back to Luke Shaw. I said what I said, and I don't take back a single word. Yes? And in terms of Wan-Bissaka, I remember Cesare Menotti. Some of you might be too young to know who Cesare Menotti was. But he was like the manager of Argentina's 1978 team, the one that won the World Cup. He says he buys his defenders to defend, buys his midfield players to play in midfield, buys his strikers to play up front, right? What United knew they needed last summer was a right winger, right? What United have been too tight to do, spend the money to get a right winger. Now they're asking Wan-Bissaka, who incidentally used to be a winger. I'm not sure if you all know this.
Yeah,
he used to be a winger, and he can certainly do that. But what we've got in front of him is nothing, right? We've either got Daniel James, who, unless there's a load of space behind him, adds a great deal.
Correct.
Or we've got Mason Greenwood, who's a bit of a conundrum at the moment, because when he comes on, he puts in a better shift than Rashford's putting in, he puts in a better shift than Cavani. Cavani runs around, and I know he's got quality, but actually Mason Greenwood's being stifled by the three strikers who are starting in front of him. That's my view.
I think with Greenwood, I think eventually he's got to go into the middle.
He's
got to, because he's the best. Yeah. He's the best finisher, and he's a special kid.
And to be fair, and
the special
Greenwood, he's also saying that he's benefiting from Cavani being there.
Absolutely, and he's benefiting from playing there because you get a better appreciation of what the winger's likely to do when you're playing in the middle. Yeah. So I can understand, but in terms of Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't play up. Him and Wan-Bissaka don't have a natural understanding of the game, right? So it's a bit of an odd situation to say we need someone else in now, spend another £20 million to get someone in to make Wan-Bissaka play better. Just go and get your right winger. That's all you've got to do.
And right? obviously last summer there was obviously the Sancho links all through the summer,
and
they've started already.
Do you think it was good business, just from a business point of view, not buying him last year? Do you think we'll get him? Cheaper this year?
I think it all depends on where Dortmund. At the moment, Dortmund are at the Champions League places in the Bundesliga. So if they don't get into the actual Champions League, there will be a slight fire sale there. Yeah. And I think it's the right time to get Sancho. I think Sancho as well, with players like, Rashford, they're at home. He actually played for City, then he went to Dortmund. So he has a relationship with the City, and I think he will come back.
I disagree. I think if United are going to buy anyone from Dortmund, it shouldn't be Sancho. We bought that lad Palestri, they're Uruguayan, and we bought Amad Diallo.
Yeah.
Who looks like a decent player, right?
His cameo was good, wasn't it, last week?
It was good, but also I've watched him playing in the under-20.
Yes.
Different animal.
Yeah.
Didn't play that much for Atalanta. But we've got two lads, we've just bought them in, two lads who play in that exact position. And they're, 18 and 19? Why are we going to buy a 20-year-old for 100 million? And we spent, 37, 40 million pounds on these two? Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
To me, I think with them, and I think you make some really, really good points there, is with Diallo and Palestri, I'd be happy that when Palestri comes back on loan is next season to bring him in, for like the earlier parts of the Carabao Cup games, and then maybe the dead rubbers, in Europe, and then like what you'd class as home bankers, at home, where he can come in and then start with, when you're 3 or 4-0 up, putting it on for the last 15, 20 minutes, because the kid's a good player.
Yeah, but
Diallo's good, yeah. I mean, Palestri first is a really good, from what I've seen of him. And,
Fergie used to do with Sharp in gigs.
Yeah.
On the left.
And Ronaldo.
Give them half and half again.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you bring players on your confidence. But coming back to the Newcastle game, right, and what the issues were there, apart from the fact that we couldn't defend that lead, I thought, and there's a bit of a movement starting again, isn't there? Let's get Marshall out the club, right? Which, it's difficult if you're Tony Marshall and you're playing on point, and you're getting no service, because it's like you say, Fred can't pass the ball from here to you, right? And I don't care what anyone says about Fred. Can I say shy? He is proper shy, right? And the other one, McTominay, he scored some goals, but McTominay can't pass the ball from here to that wall. So you've got two holding midfield players, right, who look forward to give it to Bruno Fernandes. Don't get me started on Bruno Fernandes, because that's another issue I've got. So the problem is the passing from our midfield, when you've got those three playing, Fernandes, McTominay and Fred, is poor. It is hit and miss most of the time. If the ball doesn't come in from the sides, and you watch, if it doesn't come in from the side, or Fred gets lucky, nothing happens.
To be honest, it's compounded. It's made worse. It's a great point by the fact that most teams come up and sit deep against us. So it's like we've got all the space to actually be creative.
You could see that on Sunday with Fred
Exactly.
and Matic because they were in each other's space all the time.
He's decent.
Yeah.
Matic can basket.
Yeah, he is. It's very technical. The next point that I'd like to make, which has been really, really popular and big in the news this week, is United's goalkeeping debate. There's rumours circulating that De Gea is going to go and Henderson wants more playing time. Now, from my point of view, I want to know from you guys, which goalkeeper do you prefer? We haven't seen much of Henderson. We've seen a lot of him last season at Sheffield United, but United is a different beast. Where do you two stand? If I can come to you, Nigel first, and De Gea.
So, just going back to that game.
Yeah.
Do you know that the ball that was launched in by Shola?
Yeah.
I don't know, it looped high in the air. Now, De Gea stood there. I tell you what, I'm sorry, but he looked like some kind of, I don't know. He looked like he was totally clueless. And you could see the fear coming in. It's like, just grab it. Take command of the area. Does it take command of the area? It creates all sorts of uncertainty in the box. And then eventually they're scoring their goal. Henderson grabs that ball every time. He's just a good old-fashioned English goalkeeper, knows how to grab that ball and will take out a defender when he needs to take out a defender. So for me, I'm quite happy to move project now. I'm team Henderson myself, I'll be honest with you.
I'm not having that at all, to be honest. I remember when De Gea first arrived and he struggled with high balls in, yeah?
Still is.
And that was coached out of him. I don't think he's gone back to that because in that same game, I saw him come and take a really difficult ball, right? And I've watched Henderson. There's nothing about Henderson that says to me, he's United's future goalkeeper. He's 23, which is too young, I believe. And my view is that I've defined him by Sheffield United, the club he was with all last season. If there was any way he should have been comfortable, he gets a game, and what does he do? 5 minutes in, and he gives them a goal? I don't know if you remember. That, for me...
That's a bit tough.
Why is that tough?
Because goals are scored in every game. That's
not when you give it to them. That is the most comfortable he should have been in a game, right?
Yeah, surroundings and going back, yeah.
The way I see him is... It's okay now, but it's like being Tellers, yeah? You've got Shaw in front of you. Because you know if you cock up today, it's all right. Next week they'll take you back out and put Shaw in. And that's the way it is with Henderson. If he messes up, it's okay, because they'll bring De Gea back, right? But when you're the number one goalkeeper and you're the one where the buck stops, it's a different animal. And it's a completely different ballgame. And I don't think he's demonstrated to me that he's got what it takes to be I don't think he will ever be our goalkeeper.
If he's not now anchoring for a move because he wants to be United's number one.
Let him go. That's what I say, let him go.
But that's the point. If he's happy to be mediocre because if it goes wrong, I can hide behind the game the next game. Yeah. Why does he want... why is he creating an ultimatum situation?
I think I personally thought where he showed his total lack of inexperience was the Istanbul Başakşehir game.
Right.
Where Demba Ba, he can see the whole pitch, yeah? He can see where Demba Ba is, yeah? He should have been telling somebody, he's on his own, I need two of his back. Tunzembe, he's following the ball. The goalkeeper should say, no, I need two of yous on Demba Ba. And that's where me personally being critical, where I thought to myself, this isn't a United goalkeeper, because he should have saw that.
So what you're saying is you think De Gea in that situation shouts somebody get back?
I think he does, because...
I don't think it's ever happened with De Gea.
Yeah, exactly. So basically...
That's
because the keeper... because the keeper sees the whole pitch. He can see
I hear you,
where Demba Ba was.
If De Gea's in there and Henderson's not...
I think...
we play football.
Right,
I know...
He's not culpable for...
But I'm telling...
Henderson's not culpable for that goal, no way.
I can't think of a
Henderson is.
No way.
single keeper who would let that happen? I can't think of one.
It's got to be the keeper's fault because he can see anything. He can see what's going on.
And the captain.
Yeah, the captain, but he's got up for the corner, hasn't he?
Trying to pretend there's nothing to do.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you know?
so I did. So, but me personally, just a quick one. Your team, Henderson. Are you Team De Gea or are you new goalkeeper?
Well, I think De Gea, the problem with De Gea for me is we pay him too much. We pay, what, 375,000?
Correct, yeah.
And I think the problem with that is anyone who comes into the club thinks, why am I getting paid less than a keeper? Do you know? And so, for that reason only, United might have to bin him off.
Hence the reason why he never went to Real Madrid, because the owner said, I can't justify a Galactical goalkeeper, did he? That was the point.
But if you're but you can't keep Henderson instead. I don't think it's a good trade to keep Henderson instead, because they bumped him to about 120.
Yeah, but Henderson's come through the ranks. He's part of the club.
Okay, you know.
Do you know? A little trivia.
This is a really good debate, guys.
A little trivia for you. That when Rashford scored his very first goal for United against Arsenal, who did he celebrate with?
Henderson. He was in the stands.
Goes into the crowd and straight into Henderson. All of a sudden he's back. We're back
Anyway,
because we're United and we promote youth. And he's come through ranks and he's gone away and done a decent job at Sheffield United. He's come back. It's his time. That's the United way.
Anyway, guys, we'll wrap this one up. We firmly know which camps you're both in, do you know what I mean, and who's getting your vote. But I'd like to take you on to the big game. This brings us now to Sunday, Super Sunday's big game, which is a 4:30 kickoff against Chelsea, which all of a sudden, again, has a lot rolling on it because they've started catching us up. Now, first of all, before you start, there are two things that I'd love to point out. The first one is, does Thomas Tuchel have any more clothes than the Chelsea kits? Oh, you see him it's like he's done a trolley dash and he's come over when he's got the job. And they've just said to him, yeah, Thomas, don't worry about clothes. We've got a club shop. Just help yourself. And the other thing that I think about Thomas Tuchel is, do you remember Scooby-Doo when you were young?
Yeah.
And you know when they unmasked the baddie? He looks like the baddie, doesn't he?
How do you pronounce his name, though? Is it Tuchel? Is it Tuchel? Is it...
Tuchel, because he's German, but obviously he's German, Thomas Tuchel. I've actually seen him. I'm like I'm the size of his legs. He's about 6'3". I was right next to him, and he does look sinister. You wouldn't take his last piece of chicken. Anyway, going back to Sunday's game, which it's a big one, and there's a lot riding on this, and we've only scored one goal against the so-called top six this year. How do you see this one's running, guys? If I start with you, Dean.
Shaw, Wan-Bissaka on the right, Maguire, Lindelof, Fred, McTominay if he's recovered from his injury. I want us to be bold, and this is a general criticism of Solskjaer, right? This isn't and I've always been Ollie out. I wanted him to be there long before he came.
Ollie in there, you mean?
No, I'm saying it's not me being Ollie.
Yeah.
But I think he's not bold. And I said the other day in the family chat that I kind of felt the time was right for him to leave. And folk are going, yeah, but you know why it's time for him to leave? Because he misses too many opportunities, right? He gets the chance. I don't mind the 4 FA Cup semi-final defeats. I do, but I don't. If we'd lost, the only one we lost really was a Chelsea game. The reason why we lost that Chelsea game, I think, is he went for the same tactics 3 games on the trot. Well, you're going to get battered, aren't you, in one of them?
He also started with James up front, didn't he?
But I don't think it was that. I think it's because tactically we brought the same game plan. I don't know a great deal about Tuchel. I'm going to call him Tuchel. But I do think he's quite astute. And what he did was, after we beat PSG away, he brought a different game plan. Maybe they were just fitter, I don't know. But he brought a different game plan to Old Trafford. And he almost did to us what we were doing to them over there.
I think you make a really good point there, because I was at that game. I was actually at that game, and I was watching the different dynamics of Tuchel's micromanagement on the touchline to Ole just sitting, watching. And to me, he was coaching. You could see him coaching, telling. But also, and I take your point, and I think it's absolutely brilliant that you make about where Ole misses things. In that game, I was privy to, obviously, when the players came out for the second half, the referee said to Fred, calm, because he knew that he should have sent him off. And he told him, now Ole should have straight away at half time, I've got away with one. I need to bring on another player. And I'd like to...
I reckon everyone in Old Trafford, when they saw Fred come out, they were like...
We all...
exactly.
Decent bench. What's on your mind? Why have you brought Fred out again? Because it's not like he was adding a great deal to the game anyway. Are you with me?
You've played football. What would you have done?
I would have taken him off. I would have given him...
No, but what would you have done if you were against him?
Against football, that's exactly the same thing.
What would you would slow yourself down, wouldn't you? Now for me, that was where I thought to myself, because I came back from that game, because I've always been an Ole in, thinking to myself, you're not at that top table. Because that top table, I'll give you another example. When we got beat by Spurs 6-1, Lamella should have been sent off. Half time, Mourinho knows that. He hooks him. So, going back to it, Nigel, it's a big game. We're up against Tuchel. How do you see it going?
So I thought Dean made some great points, by the way. But I'm thinking about the Real Sociedad game, which is the game tomorrow, before that. And I think what they did last week, Real Sociedad, I'm coming to answer your question, is they were naive, they set up naively against United. Everybody knows when you play against United, sit deep, we haven't got a clue. If you decide to play football against us, the chances are our better players will find you out eventually. And that's exactly what happened. I think that'll happen again tomorrow. I don't think they'll learn their lesson. So I think there may be some momentum, howbeit it's almost it's an illusory momentum going into that game. So I'm expecting us to be a bit more expansive. I know it's the same team, it's going to be the same players, but I'm hoping that we've got a bit of momentum and we're a bit more expansive. That's against chance. I think it's only a hope.
But quickly, because obviously we're going to have to wrap up soon, but I agree with that, because I thought against Liverpool and Arsenal away, they were there for the taking. And as a team, we weren't hungry enough. So, here's where the big one comes in. I'm going to ask you, Dean, can you predict the result for me, please? We're away.
I know. Are we going to change the habit of letting them score first and then coming back? I think he's more savvy than Ole. And I believe because of that, they might do us about 2-0.
Okay, so you think we're going to lose?
I think I can see that happening. And I don't believe we're going to win, because for some reason it's just not working at the moment.
Fair enough.
Athletic.
Understand? And
we are so.
And you
I think almost for the same reason, but I do think that because we're dealing with like a clever European manager, he might fall into the trap of treating it like a Champions League game rather than a Premier League game.
He usually likes to play, he'll play 5 at the back.
That's what he'll do.
And he'll play 5 forward.
And I think we'll have an opportunity to exploit that. I think he's not savvy enough within the Premier League. I think he's got his... He's
drawn 1. He's drawn 1. Dropped his first points on Saturday. So go on, Nigel, prediction?
But I think we'll do. I think there'll only be the odd goal in it, but I reckon we'll win 2-1, 3-2. I think he won't know to shut it down. Okay. Well, I'm going to go for a draw. I see it ended a draw. Andy, through the middle, Well, no, because I think like two big European games. Both teams have played European games. I think there'll be a change. Both teams will change, and I just think they'll be cautious. I just think it'll be a draw.
Just on the Sociedad game, I think it's a good opportunity for him to play the kids. Do you know? By that I mean, like, I don't say play all the kids, but there are a number of kids I'd like to see. There's a one Galbraith who plays
Galbraith,
for the under-23.
Yeah.
He's a Republic of Ireland international.
Yeah.
Republic or Northern Ireland international.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him because he's a very good footballer.
I think with that game, I agree with you. I feel like if they get to a 2-goal lead, or with 20 minutes to go, bring on Diallo and bring on like some of the kids and just.
I'd like to see that Galbraith and the holding. He reminds me of Michael Carrick a great deal in terms of just how he controls the game.
And also Shola. I'd like Shola Shomadine to come on and show us.
Definitely.
So guys, thanks very much, and it's been great having you on, Dean. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your contribution.
You know where to find me.
Yeah,
you can come again.
The greatest thing about you, Dean, is, and I'm sure you're going to take this as a compliment, but we all know that you could have an argument in an empty house, which is brilliant.
I'll prove it to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. So guys, just like to say thank you, and we'd like to like, share and subscribe to the Red Shirt Podcast.
You know the rest. See you on the next one.